DreAllDay.com.
Now tuned in to the show where you learn the discipline to show up day after day to do the work, the confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there, even when the success you've expected to achieve has yet to be achieved. And on top of all this, you get a huge dose of personal initiative. That is the go-getter energy that moves me, you, him, her, them, and they, everybody. It's going to make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. And then we put all this together into one framework, one philosophy, one approach, one mindset, a whole bunch of books, and this daily masterclass that is called Work on Your Game. My name is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day, and welcome to the show. And today's topic is how current you will become future you. Yes, how the you that you are today is going to become the you that you aim to be tomorrow. And yes, there is a process to this. You thought, oh, you just keep living and it'll just slowly happen. No. We got to be intentional about things here, and that's what we do here at Work on Your Game. I'm going to tell you exactly how that is done within the framework of today's episode. Now, before I get into that, I want to remind everybody or inform you, if you didn't know, that I have a text message line where I want you to text me and you can share with me the most valuable insight you got from today's masterclass, or you can just text me and say hello right now. What's going to happen is, as a member of my texting community, you are going to receive my daily motivation text message, which I send out every single morning to everyone who is in my texting community. So if you want to get that text, just say hello right now. Just send me a hello text right now, and you will receive the very next daily motivation text that I'm going to send out tomorrow morning. So, or this morning, depending on what time of day you're listening to this right now. So this topic here, how current you becomes future you. All right, I'm going to assume that everyone who's listening to a show called Work on Your Game, that you're willing to do the work, and there's a certain type of person that you plan on becoming in the future. And you have a vision for where you want to get to, which is why you're willing to do work. I mean, nobody just shows up and works just to work. Actually, no, that's not true. There are people who show up and just work to work. They don't really have any intention behind it. They're just doing it because they see everybody else doing it. I'm going to make the assumption, knowing my audience, so 2,000 episodes deep, that you're not that type of person. You're the type of person, you're working, but there's a reason that you're working. You're working because there's something that you really want to get to. There's something you really want to do in your life. And there's a future you that you can see. There's some future results that you want to achieve, some future material possessions that you want to have, just a future life that you see yourself living. And I want you to understand that there is an intentionality behind that. It's not something that just happens by default. If you allow things to happen by default, and you don't have an intentionality behind it, then it's probably not going to be what you want. All right. Usually in life, we don't get just by default the things that we want specifically. If you want to get specific about what you want, then you got to be intentional about going after them. I think everyone here understands that. And if you don't, you will by the end of today's masterclass. So let's get right into it. The topic, once again, is how current you becomes future you. Point number one, make decisions today for the person that you plan on becoming. This is simple enough concept, I think. If you think about it, I want you to look at your goals list, actually. And now, hopefully, if you read my book, The Mental Workbook, you should already have not only goals for what you're knocking out today, and this week, and this month, and this year, but also goals for the next 5 years, goals for the next 20 years, and goals for your life. You should have those things in place. If you don't, pause this episode and write them down right now. Write down what you want to achieve in the next 5 years, the next 20 years, the next, you can do 5, 10, 20, and lifetime. What do you want to achieve? And once you have those goals written down, now I want you to look at the actions that you're taking today, or look at the actions that you took yesterday, and ask yourself, are the decisions that I'm making right now in the present, are these leading me to becoming the person that I plan on being 5 years from now? Are the decisions that I'm making today in the present, the actions that I'm taking right now, the way that I'm thinking right now, the people with whom I am associating right now, are they leading me to being the person that I want to be 5 years from now? If you don't like that answer, then you know that change is going to come, and it's going to come from you. This question and the resulting actions that come from it, the resulting change in thoughts that come with it. This is the discipline, folks. This is the discipline which becomes a habit, which then happens without your conscious involvement. See, you only need a little bit of discipline to kind of get the train moving. Once you get the train moving, it becomes a habit. It just keeps going because of the law of inertia. The law of inertia states that an object in motion will remain in motion unless acted upon by an outside force. And the same thing for an object that is not in motion. So a little bit of discipline becomes habit, and as long as you leave that habit be, it will keep doing what it's doing. You don't have to constantly think about it. It'll become automatic that you're doing these things. But it requires a little bit of discipline to get the habit started. And this is the grind. That's the hard part. And when you're just starting a habit, that's the third day mentality, is that sometimes it's hard to get a habit going because you got to push yourself through the resistance that your subconscious has to doing something new that is not used to doing. This is like, again, a person who hasn't been to the gym. The first day, it feels great to go to the gym because it's a new, novel thing. The second day, still pretty new. It's only the second day. By the third day, you're already questioning it. By the third day, your body's not feeling that great because you don't normally work out. By the third day, you don't really feel like working out because your body doesn't feel like working out. The body and mind are connected. And on that third day is the pivotal moment. That's when you decide, am I going to push myself through the resistance of the third day, or am I going to succumb to the third day? And that decision is what separates the pros from the amateurs, as I talk about in this book right here called The Third Day. So it's very bright outside right now as I'm holding this book up. You can barely see it, but it's thirddaybook.com. The link is down below in the show description. You can get this book for free. All you're going to do is help me out by covering the shipping, again, by going to thirddaybook.com. That is what the third day is all about. Making the decisions today that will serve you tomorrow. And again, today is yesterday's tomorrow. Today is 5 years ago's tomorrow. Are you happy with the decisions that you made that led to where you are right now? If not, you can make changes. All right, don't beat yourself up about it. You can't change the past, but you can change your present by changing your decisions, changing the way that you think, changing what you see when you look in the mirror, changing how you hold yourself, and changing to what accountability you're holding yourself. This is the discipline, folks. And it happens unconsciously as long as you keep that discipline just for long enough to get past that third day. So think about who and where you want to be 5 years from today, and adjust your actions and your associations and your habits of thought accordingly. Now, this is a very simple question to ask of yourself, and you can ask this question as often as you want. You can ask this question of yourself every hour on the hour if you want to. You can ask it every day if you want to. And I won't discourage you from doing that. This is actually a very good question. And I think if more people ask themselves this question more often, I think the whole world would be a better place. Everybody would elevate. Everybody in the world would elevate. We would all elevate our levels if we all thought like this and we didn't all think just about instant gratification, but more about getting that delayed gratification while at the same time enjoying ourselves in the moment. We don't want to delay everything forever, right? Because eventually we're all going to die. But think about who you want to be 5 years from now. Simple question to ask as often as you want. The challenge to this question is your answer might make you uncomfortable because current you may not be serving future you. All right, when you ask this question and you realize that what you're doing right now and the people you're associating with right now and the way that you're thinking right now are not actually helping you get to where you want to go, you're gonna have to have a hard talk with yourself. You're gonna have to look at yourself in the mirror and be honest about that. And what are you gonna do in that moment? When you realize that you might be hurting yourself right now more than anybody or anything else is hurting you, what are you willing to do? Do you have the discipline to have that conversation with yourself? Do you have the mental toughness to tell yourself, you know what, I'm not actually serving my highest self right now with my current actions and my current habits? Are you willing to have that conversation? Again, I can't answer that question, and you don't have to answer that question to me, but you do need to answer that question to yourself. Let's move on to point number 2. Today's topic, once again, is how current you becomes future you. Chip away at the granite. Now, this is a metaphor here, and what I mean is this. There's a story of a sculptor who he had created this beautiful work of art out of this big slab of granite rock. Somebody gave him the slab of granite rock, and it was just a slab of rock. It was just a rock. All right, there was nothing to it. And he went and made a sculpture out of it, and when he was done, people saw the sculpture and said, wow, that's a beautiful sculpture. How were you able to create such a beautiful sculpture out of that piece of rock? Because I saw it when you first had it. There was just a slab of granite. There was nothing there. How were you able to create this the way that you did? No, it was very impressive what this sculptor had created. And the sculptor replied, well, it was very simple. I just had a vision of what I wanted to create. And then everything on this slab of granite that was not reflective of the vision that I wanted to create, I just chipped it off. I just used my pick, and I just chipped off everything that was not what I envisioned. So I already had my vision, and I saw this big slab, and I just chipped away everything that didn't fit the vision until I had exactly my vision. That's all it is. That's the same thing you're going to do. Chipping away at the granite. Often, everybody, the adjustments that we need to make in order to elevate our status and move forward in life, they are usually not additions that we need to do. It's not that we need to do more and we need to do extra. Often, we just need to get rid of some things. And sometimes we need some help in assessing and evaluating and deciding what to get rid of. Usually, almost every person that I come across, when it comes to elevating themselves, whether we're talking personal elevation, professional elevation, strategic, emotional, spiritual, any of those things, usually is some things that we just got to get rid of. We're often carrying too much. We're often trying to do too many things. We have too many priorities, which doesn't make any sense. This priority means first. You can't have multiple priorities. That's an oxymoron. If you start chipping away at the things that are in your way from getting to who you want to be 5 years from now, you start making more subtractions, you're going to move faster and you'll move further. If you want to go far, sometimes you got to travel light. So my question then is, what are you doing or engaging with right now? And it's a question that I'm just handing you this question. You're going to ask yourself, what are you doing or engaging with right now that isn't going to help you become that 5 years from now self? Person you want to be 5 years from now. What do you have going on right now that is absolutely not going to get you there? And how soon can you get rid of it? Who are you engaging with that is not going to get you where you want to be in 5 years? And how soon can you get rid of that person? How soon can you disassociate from that individual? We talked about this in episode 1058, 3 levels of people, 2 minutes, 2 hours, and 2 days. All right, you want to be a 2-hour person, a 2-day person 5 years from now, then how soon can you get rid of those 2-minute people that you keep hanging with? And what's stopping you? All right, these are, again, questions that you have to ask yourself. And the more often you ask, the more you'll get used to answering the question. Hopefully you get around to answering that question, and then you can start doing something about it. Hopefully that's really what you end up doing, is doing something about this. Again, in order for you to get from the level that you're at right now to the level that you really want to be in your life, often there's a bunch of subtractions you're going to make. You'll probably make more subtractions than you make additions, if we're being honest. Keep that in mind as we move on to point number 3. Today's topic, once again, is how current you becomes future you. I want you to remember the shit sandwich. Episode 1663 is that anything that you do in life, you will have to eat the shit sandwich. Okay, there's no way to avoid it. Again, what is your favorite flavor of shit sandwich? Do you want to pay now or do you want to pay later? I was watching a TED Talk with this woman who had been diagnosed with a terminal disease. At least the doctor told her that the disease was terminal, and there was nothing else that the doctors could do. She had seen multiple doctors. So she decided this is just as a last ditch effort, since she was going to die anyway, why not just try radically changing my diet and see if I can help myself? The doctors can't help me. I might as well try helping myself. Since anyway they said I'm going to die. So she changed her diet. She cut out all processed foods, 100%, and she would eat just a heaping helping of leafy green vegetables every single day. And she was able to actually reverse the diagnosis to the point that she lived. And she lived to the point that she was given a TED Talk about how she was able to undo this alleged terminal diagnosis that she had. And she's telling the story about how she's eating all these, and she would eat only organic, like triple washed, leafy green vegetables, and she was buying them from the organic produce stores or Whole Foods or wherever she was getting them from. And she said when she would tell people that story, this is on stage at her TED Talk, when she would tell people that story of how she was just eating the vegetables to save her health, people would protest and say, well, look, eating at a place like Whole Foods or eating all organic vegetables costs a lot of money. And the woman would reply to them and say, yeah, you're right. Well, and she said, well, look, you got 2 choices. You can pay now by paying for those organic vegetables that cost more than the conventional vegetables or cost more than packaged foods, or you can pay later by going to the doctor's offices and being on medication, and having your family have to pay somebody to take care of you, help you go to the bathroom when you're 65 because you didn't take care of your body when you were younger. So do you want to pay now? Do you want to pay later? You want to eat the shit sandwich now of spending more money on your body, or do you want to eat the shit sandwich later of you and your family having to spend money on your body, because at some point you're going to have to invest? So that's the shit sandwich. The question is, when do you want to make your payments? Do you want to pay now as current you so that future you can live comfortably, or do you want to pay later as future you just because current you wants to live comfortably. Now, some people may ask when I'm talking about this is, well, Dre, when do I get to have fun and enjoy myself? When can I actually enjoy life if I'm always making investments for the future? I mean, do I ever get to, if I'm always delaying gratification, when can I actually have some fun? Now, look, if you want that fun, you can have fun right now. I mean, if you want to have fun today, have fun today. But understand that at some point you got to pay for that fun. All right, there's an investment in everything. Nothing is free in this world. Number one rule of economics: there is no such thing as a free lunch. Or you can pay now and have fun later, or you can mix them in. All right, mix them in a ratio that makes sense for you. I talked about this in my book, The Third Day, because when I talk about discipline and showing up every single day and doing the work, people sometimes ask, well, damn, I'm just going to be doing the hard work all the time. I'll never be able to enjoy myself. And that's on the contrary. That's not really how it works. How it works is you can pay for the downtime. You can pay for the relaxed time. You can pay for the fun time by doing the work time. So for example, you can tell yourself, okay, I'm gonna go hard and work really hard on my business and building my brand Monday through Saturday. And then on Sunday, I'm gonna relax and watch TV and watch Netflix and eat ice cream. If that's the way you wanna do it, you decide. How much input do you need to put in order to get the output? All right, all of us wake up every day and we do our work and work on our games and do our stuff, and then we go to sleep at night. Why do we go to sleep at night? Well, first of all, because nature demands it, but the reason that we go to sleep at night, it's just a natural thing, is that we have to pay for all that effort that we gave during the day. The effort that we give while we're awake 16 hours a day is paid for by the time that we're asleep in 8 hours a night. We pay for the awake time with sleep time. So for example, I have a bag right here sitting on my desk of Mike and Ike's. You don't know what Mike and Ike's are, I'm sorry, but they're candy. I bought them from Walgreens, which is across the street from where I live. Now, all of you who follow me, if you follow my Instagram story or anything like that, I also eat a 5-ounce box of raw organic spinach every single day. So I pay for my enjoyment of these Mike and Ike's by eating that spinach. Now, do I need to eat Mike and Ike's? No, I don't, but I choose to. Why? Because I'm human. And you can pay for the things the enjoyment things, the gratification, you can pay for that by doing some work. And you decide, and you negotiate, okay, how much of this payment do I need to make in order to get this payoff that I want to get? You can decide what that is and mix it in a ratio that makes sense for you. Just know that there's some shit that you're going to need to eat one way or another. So to become that person, you got to pay the cost to be the boss. So you want to be the boss and have the type of life that you want to have in the future, you got to make the payments for it right now. All right, that's the only way you can get there. Nothing in this life is free. Remember your 5 forms of investment. Let's recap today's class, which is how current you becomes future you. Number 1, make decisions today for the person that you plan on becoming. This is the discipline. Discipline becomes habit, and that happens without your conscious involvement. You want to get to that point, you got to invoke the third day mentality. Third day mentality is pushing yourself through the grind of your natural resistance to a new habit that does not quite exist yet. Again, my book, The Third Day, will help you understand exactly how to do that by going to thirddaybook.com. Number 2, chip away at the granite. Like the sculptor who made a beautiful sculpture out of a slab of granite rock that represented nothing. He said all he had to do was chip away everything that did not look like what he wanted it to be. It's the same thing you got to do with your life. Knowing where you want to be in 5 years, look around and ask yourself, what exists right now that would not exist for the person that I want to be 5 years from now? And get rid of those things. Most of the changes that you're going to make to get to the level you want to be at in life is not an addition, it is usually a subtraction. What do you need to get rid of and how quickly can you get rid of it? And number 3, remember the shit sandwich. All right, you can either pay now or you can pay later, but either way you must pay. As they say, there is a cost to being the boss, and the people who are the biggest bosses are the ones who paid the biggest costs. So are you willing to make those investments or are you not? Again, you have to answer that question through your actions, not through your words. All this said, if you're looking for some way that you can get some guidance and some help strategically, tactically, mindset-wise, when it comes to chipping away at those things that you need to get rid of, strategizing for where you actually do want to be 5 years from now so that you can live the way that you want to live and be the person that you want to be, then you may be a great candidate for my 3rd Day Mastermind. It is the only place that I offer direct one-on-one coaching. Is the most valuable thing that I offer in the entire work on your game world, because it is my one-on-one time, and time is my most valuable resource. That's why I must personally handpick and choose every person I work with in that mastermind. Only way you can get into it is by getting on a Zoom call with me first. I want to know who you are, where you're at, where you want to go, what's working for you, what's not working for you, where you plan on getting to, who you plan on becoming, and then we can talk about where we could possibly go from there and how it would work. The way you do that is by going to workonyourgameuniversity.com, click on the button that says join the mastermind, or you can just click the link right down below in the description. There's a link that takes you straight to a quick form you fill out. We'll send you a link to hop on a Zoom call with me, and we'll talk about everything right there. So that is at workonyourgameuniversity.com. And for everyone who's listening, send me a text message. Tell me the most valuable thing you got from today's class. What are you going to do different or think different based on what you heard? My number is 305-384-6894. And also, if you want to get my daily motivation text, just hit me with a text and say hi right now. You'll be in there. You'll get my daily motivation text the very next one that comes out. Work on your game. Dre, all